Dan Aykroyd. He's progressive. He's beautiful. He's thoughtful. He's intelligent. He's powerful. He's positive. He is Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio.
You're listening to Power 98.5, powered by United Angels Dream, your number one resource for public relations, entertainment, and multimedia. Contact them today at unitedangelsdream.com.
Empowering listeners from the US to the UK. Live on air with Stephen Cuoco.
I love going through all of this with you.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Welcome to Live on Air with Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio, the latest and greatest and the best in music, news, entertainment, film, reality, TV, and more. You're listening to Power 98.5, whether on your iOS or Android app, Alexa, TuneIn, Apple Music, or any other platform that we're on. I think it's like probably about 10 or 11 right now. So it's a beautiful day out today. New York, what are we looking like today, New York? Cloudy, overcast, rainy. It's why I got my nice comfy little sweater on. I hope you guys are liking this. It's brand new. It sat in my closet for probably about since 2020, 2021. And I thought to myself, hey, I need to look good. I need to feel good. I've got Jeremy Neumark Jones with us today. I had a feeling you were going to show up somewhat fashionable. I'm loving the chain. I like the shirt. Oh, yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah, little do you know, underneath this, it's a total mess. But, you know, that's the perfect thing about video from the waist up.
How's life? How's the weather? How are things with you?
Great. Yeah, really good. Weather here, Copenhagen. I'm in Copenhagen. It's not known for its amazing weather apart from in summer, although anyone who's never been, I do recommend you go from about May onwards. But you saying cold and rainy and overcast and grey, that really resonates with me. You know, I'm a London boy as well, so we've got a lot of that there too. And things are great, man. You know, things are really good. I've just come back from promoting like another thing that I've got coming out hopefully this year, and I'm going on holiday. I'm going on a little break to Colombia for the next 3 weeks. From this Thursday. So my mind is like halfway in the jungle already.
Oh no,
It's good to be here with you as well. I mean, I'm delighted. I'm delighted that I'm here.
Are you doing the sandals, or like how are you getting ready for Colombia?
Yeah, well, exactly. It's a whole question, and it's a pretty varied country. So is it going to be beach shorts, or is it going to be hiking boots? Is it going to be bug spray? Or is it going to just be beach towels? I don't know yet. And maybe it's going to be a mix of all of those things. I've got a feeling it's going to be quite a challenge to pack when I get around to it. But I'm very last minute. So whatever ends up being in the bag is what I'm going to have to live with when I get out there.
I'm going to honestly say you're courageous, because unless I'm on a resort, if I'm going to be heading anywhere in the jungle in Colombia, there is no way I'm wearing sandals. I mean, there's no way my feet are going to be uncovered. You may not come back with a toe.
Yeah, that's what I understand. Like an ant's gonna nip one of them and take it back to its hive.
You've got dual citizenship, if memory serves me correctly. Let me pull it up here. And for those that are tuning in, we've got actor. You're a producer as well, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm a podcast producer.
Writer, producer. Let me hit over. Actor. Jeremy Neumark Jones with us today. Anyone in the audience, if you have a question for Jeremy, please present that to us. We would love to answer any questions for you. You're also a resident of Germany, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I saw that. So should I do the little read the...
Let's do it. Yeah.
So we've got Jeremy Barrington.
Sure.
Why did you leave that out? I like that.
Oh, I love it. I'd include it. I'd include it if I could, but I think 4 names is too many names to put on an acting bill.
Okay.
Tried to get it down to 2.
All right. So Jeremy Barrington Neumark Jones is an American English actor who has taken lead roles on the BBC television series The Last Post and on the ITV drama series Belgravia. Am I saying that right?
Belgravia.
Belgravia. Okay.
Yeah, but that's an English thing.
His grandparents were German Jews who moved to England because of the Nazi regime. In 2020, he took up German citizenship. So, what is that like? Or do you have to pay taxes in Germany, or can you still remain like a visitor?
So, slight correction, only my mother's father, my maternal grandfather moved over.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother was already in the East End. It doesn't say that anywhere online.
No.
There's a large population of Jews who have been in the East End of London since at least the 19th century, and her family was part of that. So she's a Cockney, is what you'd call her. But my maternal grandfather, yeah, he moved over in 1933, and then around the time of Brexit, so in 2016, obviously we were all used to in England traveling around Europe like other Europeans, and then we knew that that was coming to an end, and so started looking into the different options. I'm quite lucky because I have quite a mixed background in terms of my heritage. My father was Welsh and Irish. Barrington is like a Welsh name. He's called Barrington Jones, so that's where the Jones comes from in Neumark Jones. And indeed, that's where my middle name Barrington comes from as well. So he was Irish and Welsh. I could have gone the Irish way. My brother Robert Newmark, who's also an actor, he went the Irish way. I went the German way. And then, obviously they were super backed up because everyone suddenly found out they had like a German grandparent or whatever. Especially Ireland. Ireland was like the worst. Like half of the UK have one Irish grandparent, and that was all you need. Germany was a little bit stricter. It was more to do with people who'd lost their citizenship because of the regime. And so I applied. Now I don't have to pay tax. I didn't have to go through a lot of the stuff that the other German citizens have to go through when they're doing their test. For example, I can't speak German. I can speak other languages, but I can't speak German. But a lot of other German citizens have to take this kind of proficiency test, to prove that they can speak the language. So for me, it's more like a kind of symbol of my cultural heritage and also something which I just felt was really important, especially as an actor. A lot of this work that I've done, including the most recent film that I did, which is how we came into contact with each other, The World Will Tremble, that was filmed in Europe. And so sometimes you have to get a visa now to work in Europe. But if you're a European citizen, you don't have to do that. You don't have a limited number of days. You can be there. You can work across the continent as a citizen of any of the countries as a member. Yeah,
I love that. Seriously, that's awesome. I mean,
it's great.
as someone who's, only a US citizen, I just think to myself, wow, I mean, be kind of cool to enter into another country and be like, anytime I want, whether holiday or otherwise, and just be able to step into another life. And that's what I appreciate with you, Jeremy, is I was thinking about this interview this morning and I was just overwhelmed with such joy because we really don't know what our lives are about until we step into someone else's or we get out of the environment we're so used to. So I feel like I'm there with you right now. Like I don't even feel like I'm here in the States.
Mm. Mm. I love that about the States though, because I feel like it's a place where last year, I think it was last year, my partner and I drove from Tampa to LA, like 3,500 miles or whatever it is.
No.
And it's one of the most unique experiences you can ever have. You feel like you're traveling through as many countries as there are in the European Union, right? You're going from like Panama City, from the Bible Belt, you're going into Austin, we went to Amarillo, you're going to New Mexico. These places are like, and every single one that you stop in, you're stepping into this life that you otherwise just would never have any sense of ever. And it's amazing.
I'm thinking why I was chuckling a little bit is I was thinking about the Midwest, and depending on the time of year you were doing that, Jeremy, is because the storms are brutal when we think about Michigan, Vermont, even Tennessee. So did you run into any hurricanes, anything about to sweep you up?
We had, yeah, it did cross my mind that Twister, the original, right? The 90s one.
Yes.
Like all it requires us now in like our little Toyota Auris or whatever it was, just to see like a little grey chimney on the horizon coming towards us slowly. We didn't have that, but what we did have what we did have was I'm not very good at planning things, and neither is my partner really. And we arrived into, I think it was San Antonio. It's where the Alamo is, isn't it?
I
That's right.
believe so, but don't hold
Yeah,
me
yeah.
to it.
Right, yeah. South Texas, warm is the point.
Yeah.
It was like 28 degrees Celsius. So I don't know what that is, but it's like over, I think it's 90 or like over 90. It's warm. And anyway, we decided that night to go to Amarillo, and we only had summer clothes. Amarillo is like North Texas. We got in the car, it was 28 degrees Celsius. We got out of the car and it was -2. And there was this like, which is like, it's like 0 Fahrenheit or something crazy like that. It's like 10 Fahrenheit. And there was this wind blowing, and I was like, I almost had like frostbite and shock from the cold because it was just such an incredible change, right? And I was thinking it's the same state. How much of a difference can it be? And it was absolutely mad. And we got rammed by that for like 2 days. They had some kind of like, there was whatever it was, there was like continental snowfall further up, the state above or the state above. So not far away from Tennessee, I guess. Yeah.
You know more
But
about
luckily
the
we
US.
avoided the most of it. It was good. It was good most of the time.
Yeah, I was about to say you know more about the US going through than I do.
That's the classic thing, isn't it? It's the classic thing.
I will tell you this, never, unless you're adventurous or you're going to do a film. I did a drive from Colorado to Nevada. It was the scariest thing because when you are driving in those mountains, if something happens, you go over an embankment. There's no guardrails. There's nothing to stop you from going
Yeah.
over those mountains. I was like, how can this exist? Tractor trailers are driving on these scary mountains, these mountains to where there is nothing to save you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, first and last. No. So
Yeah.
lucky you, I will I'm just going to put it out there and maybe I'm going to get a kick in the butt because of saying it anytime I say the word never, but I will never do that. People have said, oh, do cross country. I was like, you are out of your mind. I'm getting on a plane. I'm getting somewhere in 2 hours or 5. And I'm not dealing with having to go up mountains and terrains and having buck come out in front of me. Did you experience that yet? Having elk or anything?
We saw some dead ones. We didn't have any that like we had to swerve out of the way of, luckily. But yeah. I've had that. I did that. I'm one of those people who likes doing it, but I can completely sympathize with the reason why not. But me and some friends ages ago now, 17 years ago, drove down Australia. And that we had like kangaroos would just come out in the middle of the road and you'd be there. It's like a single lane highway that goes around the whole country. And so we had a lot of that. We had a lot of, they weren't buck, and it felt worse because they weren't buck. They're these unique creatures that you're like, you're almost going to kill yourself in order to avoid killing them, kind of thing.
Oh yeah. When you were speaking about Texas, you felt the brutality of the humidity, correct? Did you feel?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. In the South. Yeah.
Humidity here in the States, whether you're in Florida, New York, Texas, or even LA, it is different everywhere.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And we were in New Orleans as well.
Oh, were you?
Which
You
was
had to have fun.
That was great. I loved it. I loved it. If I was going to do, what do you guys call it? You call it a bachelor party. We call it a stag do. I'm sure I'm not the first person. A stag do,
Never
No,
heard of that. Okay.
it's a bachelor party.
Okay.
And yeah, so I was there and I was like, I think I could have that here. I feel like this is the kind of place where things like that happen and people come back with, good stories or one kidney, depending on the kind of time that they have.
When we were chatting last night, if I may say, when you were telling me you were at dinner, I was wondering myself, I was thinking to myself, just a vibe about you. You kind of have this Henry Cavill vibe about you. And this vibe as though there's going to be a beer involved or maybe a scotch. And I was thinking, God, you got to be a hoot to probably have dinner with.
Well, this also that well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I like this thing that we had yesterday, which is like a very Danish thing. This is a socialist country, right?
Okay.
Like literally, it's like constitutionally a socialist country, and they've got this thing where you can go and you do this like it's called like a common eating would be the Danish word for it. You go to like a hall, there's like 150 people, and you pay like $10
Oh,
and
wow.
you sit on a table with other people that you've never met before, and you eat and you break bread with them. So they make you. It's a bit kind of like church. They make you stand up and introduce yourself to the people that you're eating with, and then you eat. And it's like, the meal's like relatively simple. And so it's like a kind of the soup, potatoes, bread, beans, a beer or two, or a soft drink and whatever. But it's great. It's so great, and yeah, I think it feeds into that part of my personality, which is I really like being around other people. I get a lot from being around other people as well.
Well, obviously you're an introvert. You're definitely kinesthetic. I felt that as soon as I came on, like your eyes just are aware, you're awake. You're profoundly incredible. And it goes back to our conversation is, to look at the fact that the movies, obviously the most recent, The World Will Tremble, The Last Post, The Feed, One of Us, you've played characters or people that where I feel that you were able to encompass who they are, but obviously with The World Will Tremble, um, you encapsulated that person so well that when I watched your interviews and to just go over some past clips of your other reels and going over your sizzle reel, I'm thinking, wow, this isn't Jeremy. In that role in The World Will Tremble, it was not you. You went somewhere else. Once again, when I watched your sizzle reel, I can feel pieces of you in those characters. But in this film, where did you go?
Mm, mm. It was a very intense experience. I think that was the thing that helped it. We had like 18 days overall
Mhm.
and quite a small budget. And a lot of it relied on the connection between the actors, I think is basically the thing. So we had not a lot of rehearsal. We turned up. We'd all been cast. I mean, I was on this other thing that I've got coming out this year, Gateway to the West. I was on that while I got cast in this. And so
Mhm.
I went from that to this. And some other people had been on other stuff, or they came for a little bit of the shoot, but not all of the shoot. Mainly, it was just me and Ollie Jackson Cohen, who's my co-star, on it for the longest period of time, which was all 18 days. And there was just something about it just clicked. And like to be frank with you, it was a very brutal experience. It was not like other things that I've done, because, and I mean that in a really good way. We were treated with a lot of respect and we were treated with a lot of care. But nonetheless, the material is incredibly brutal. I have a personal connection to it in some way, in more than one way. I mean, I watched that interview with Mikhail Podhlednik years before I did the part, and years. So I felt like I had a connection to him already before I even started filming. And so it just means that in those moments where you're having to go really, really, really far down, and the cameras, it's quite a way back, or when it's there, it's not very intrusive, which is always like a really important thing. You as an actor, you and the cameraman, you're involved in this dance together where they're trying to not make themselves that obvious to you, but you're also trying to give enough of yourself to them while still staying true to the character. And between those two things, I think we just found this really good synergy where it became very easy. Everything was very intuitive. There wasn't a lot of thinking through. There wasn't a lot of planning. It was just we're gonna do it, and the camera, you're gonna trust that the camera is gonna be there to pick you up. And the director has complete faith in what you're doing. And I have to say, this is one of the things I loved. I love TV. I think the difference between TV and film gets closer to theatre, which is like my true love. But in TV, it's a product that's sold for a particular brand. If you're watching an HBO drama, the producers are HBO producers, and they're going to want it to live up to the standards that HBO have, which are incredibly high, and it's incredibly high performing. So I think there's a certain level that can go along with that stuff, where sense of control gets into it. We have to show this bit. This is important for the story. This rewrite's just come in because this is a lot better. With film, especially with something like this, where the budget was small and the team was small, you really got a sense of like, we're fully, fully collaborating on this. you know, it's you're giving all your trust to me, I'm giving all of my trust to you. And ultimately, I think that makes a really, really big difference in the final product because it makes it incredibly alive. Now, obviously, with that, you're taking more of a risk because you don't know how it's going to get sold. Could get sold to no one. People could not see it, whatever. But the actual process of it, I think it allows you to lose yourself a little bit more.
What's perfect with this, Jeremy, is it's on Apple TV. And
Mhm.
to give credit, yes, Apple TV is not a Netflix. It's not a Hulu. They're not out there worrying about pounding out a bunch of projects, try to have this huge catalog. They're strategic, they're smart. And I was excited to watch it on Apple TV because I
Mm.
highly respect the quality. I mean, if anybody who knows Apple TV does not uh, take breaks or make excuses to come a couple. If they are a 10, they're going to make sure
Yeah.
they're a 15.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing below that. So for what it's worth, because of it being on Apple TV, because of everything you've accumulated throughout the years, which obviously has been very strategic, because with looking at all of your projects, there is what I feel a strategicness to it. And with Gateway to the West, what I really was surprised by was that I just recently interviewed Eric Roberts. I thought, oh, wow,
Oh, great.
serendipitous. Great cast. I could we say with Gateway to the West, you are one of the lead roles, not a supporting actor? Like, how would this be defined?
Well, I would say I'm the lead role because I have top billing.
Nice.
But but it's very that again is very collaborative because you've got like there I think the thing is to be level about it. You have a group of incredible Hungarian actors, a group of incredible Mongolian actors, a group of incredible English-speaking actors from America and from England. And in that, I think really you're looking at people who are really respected in their own fields. So like the Mongolian actors, some of them are, for example, one of them, while we were doing the film, he won like the best international actor at some Russian film awards, which are apparently really big. But obviously, like they're completely out of our sphere. They're completely out of America's sphere. But I don't know anything about them. I don't know anything about the Hungarian ones either. But you meet these people and they're prize-winning actors. And so you think everyone's really at the top of their game. And so I was on that was a longer shoot. That was about 80 days. And I was in every day of that. Now Ray, who we had, who Eric may have talked to you about, who's an amazing actor, he passed away after we'd finished.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Ray Stevenson, yeah, yeah. We had him for 2 weeks. He's done a lot of really impressive work. I mean, growing up, he did this series called Rome for HBO, which was massive back in the day, which I loved. I loved. My education's in classics. It's in Latin and ancient Greek, and I watched that. I completely fell in love with it. But he was a very in demand actor at that time, so we only had him for about 2 weeks. Um, but I would say when it comes out, it's gonna be me that you're gonna be seeing on the posters, and hopefully it's gonna be my name that you're gonna be seeing first if all goes according to plan. Yeah.
I hope so. Well, I'm looking at I would say, I don't know if this is temporary, but they've got a photo. Did you see the poster of half of your face, but it's a good part of half of your face? I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
dominate the poster.
yeah.
It's beautiful.
I love that poster.
It's gorgeous. Let
Yeah,
me
it's great,
blow
isn't
it
it?
up. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can. Yeah, it's you command. This is what I'm just enthralled, if that's the right word. I mean, just fascinated by you and just mesmerized. That feels appropriate to say. And I don't get mesmerized by many people, but you have this command. I wouldn't doubt if you've lived many lifetimes or what's going on, but there's this power and empowerment about you, Jeremy, that is profound. Moving forward, and just to emphasize this again, you've done a lot of military war style films. I want to see beyond that. I want to see like some psychological thriller,
Mm.
drama, maybe a mystery. Is that the direction of where you would like to go? Is in more sectors besides what you're currently accustomed to doing?
Yeah, yeah. There's a for anyone who's interested in investing in film out there, the producer of Gateway to the West, Bill Chamberlain, and I are currently working on something which is a bit more of that style, which I can't talk too much about.
Okay.
But anyone who wants to reach out to him, Chelsea Pictures, Bill Chamberlain, you can get more details of that. And that is much more, I think, it's very hard. In England especially, we have a class system, right? And a class system is something which is enforced like knowingly or not. And one of the ways that it's enforced for good and bad is, and I think mostly bad, is, they hear someone like me and the casting that'll go period drama. He's educated, he's white, he's going to be playing posh guys. Posh guys are often in the military, right? So especially in England, that we're talking about captains in war, we're talking about people who fought at Waterloo, we're talking about that kind of stuff. But sometimes I think the problem with that, and this is one of the things I like about The World Will Tremble and Gateway to the West when it comes out, is you lose a bit of the emotional arc because a lot of it is to do with you're playing the status of the character. It's you in relation to other people. The whole point about these men is that they don't break down and they don't show emotion. And I think that can be a shame. But the thing is, the other stuff, the emotional stuff, that everyday thriller, the psychological things, that can be the domain of anyone. And so sometimes the casting options for that compared to some of the historical stuff, it completely changes. And I think it's progressed in a really good way. I think you're seeing a lot of very diverse castings for those kind of modern projects, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. Now, I would be lying if I said I wouldn't like to also do that kind of stuff, because something I would love to do is reflect more stories of the modern world, right? I think the modern world is, we get so much power from our everyday lived experience, as much as we get from losing ourselves in something completely historical from 1,000 years ago or from the Second World War and all of that kind of stuff. But for me, the truth of it is, it doesn't matter if you're in the Middle Ages or right now. The point is that you're trying to play the connection between between one person and another person. And it all rests in those stakes. And provided you can unlock those things, all of those stories have the same axis to them, in my opinion, right? Which is just the human axis.
I like that. I'm processing of what you're telling me right now because I went deep with you, which is telling me, is there a script inside of you? Is there your own project that you plan on doing in the near future?
Well, I do write. I write a lot. I mainly write literature. So I mainly write books. I don't write screen as much. And I think that's only because I've read really good screenwriters, and that's not me. It's not me. I much prefer having the sense of utter control if I'm just left to my own for hours and I can write and write and write, describe, develop plot as much as I like, and then pare it back. I've always done it ever since I was a kid. So I'm actually currently finishing up a draft of a book that I've been working on for about a year and a half. And yeah, that is much more. Do you know who Elmore Leonard is?
No, not that
Okay, he wrote like Get Shorty.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and Rum Punch, which is what Jackie Brown, the Quentin Tarantino film, was based on. He's an American writer. He used to be called Dutch, was like his nickname. He's from Detroit,
Okay.
Moved down to Florida. He's an incredible writer. His books are like so easy to read. If you want to do your beach holiday and you've got a week on the beach, you can read one of his books in like a day. It's incredible. And the way that he writes, I think is perfect. I think he's a perfect writer. And so I've been really, in the last couple of years, I've been really inspired by him. They're capers, right? He writes like they're fun. And for me, I think that's also something I really like. I like going deep, but I also really see the value in humor and enjoyment. And I think either, in The World Will Tremble, I think one of the scenes that I'm proudest of is the one after, spoiler alert, but it's already come out, they've escaped. And they've gone through the river, and one of them's been shot and the other one's hurt their leg. And you just have that moment of connection between them, which is like light. And it's lighter than all of the stuff around it. And I think bringing the light and the dark together is such a rewarding thing to be able to do. And I think Elmore Leonard does that perfectly. And that's what I'm trying to emulate with my writing.
To be honest, I rarely watch a movie twice. I actually watched it again last night, and
No way.
yes, I did, no lie, all the way through. And it is that scene where both you come out of the water and you're there, and it was that connection. And then when you had the moment of laughter,
Mm-hmm.
and then when both of you find yourselves in that little village, like, and you go into the barn, and just that's where you guys amalgamized together. It was like, wow. And then when you took the bike, that's where I feel the film really took off in those moments, because that's where it just came down. All of the emotion came down, and we were able to just hone in on just both of you and the story and the connection.
I completely agree. I also think that was the moment with Ollie that I felt that was the first moment that I really clicked in with him, because also they're alone for the first time. We filmed it mainly in sequence together. So we were with most people at the beginning and we were with fewest people at the end. And so that's really the first time that our two characters are kind of seeing one another, And again, it's such a pared back production that you kind of really are. It's just you two on a riverbank and maybe a camera kind of somewhere, And I love that. It was an amazing experience. And that water was cold.
Was it really cold?
It was really, really cold. I mean, I'm talking, it was as cold as Amarillo that I was talking about before. 10 degrees, 8 degrees. It was a runoff from a mountain stream. And so we were filming in that, and we were shivering by the time that we finished that thing. We were sopping wet, we were shivering, yeah. And it was like March, so not warm.
Are you proud of yourself and everything you've accomplished, and you're continuing to accomplish, even with Gateway to the West, Jeremy? Are you proud of yourself?
Yeah, I've had to take a few moments, I think, this year to remind myself that I've been very lucky in a way that lots of actors aren't, to be able to play these parts. I think it's one of the difficult things about our industry is, I'm talking to you about something that I did 2 years ago. I did pretty much 2 years ago to the month. And times have moved on since then. I've done a lot of plays. I haven't done a lot of screen work since then. Partly because those two films, I really wanted to see what would happen with them, right? And especially when you do something like that, you have a sense where you think all work is great work, but you want to be in a position when you have something like this coming out to be able to show it and be available to as many people as you can. But look, all work is great work. So I am proud of myself, because I had those kind of dreams I had, which are the kind of dreams that lots and lots of actors had. A lot of those have been fulfilled. But also the way that it is I like new things. I like the next thing, because you have the challenge, you're presented with it, you think about it, you think, how am I going to get around this? You spend, 4 months, 2 months, 1 month working your way through the character. And then you finish with it. And then you think, what's next? What am I going to do next? How am I going to fill up the next 6 months with something that I find equally as satisfying? So I am proud of myself, but I find it very, very hard to ever rest and settle. I find it really hard to do that. So I'm more excited to see what comes next than I am proud of what's already happened.
Well, you've got Columbia coming up, so that's going to be your rest.
Exactly. And I won't have to achieve anything there, as far as I know.
Yeah. We've got less than a minute. Any closing thoughts?
I'm amazed at the power of social media, man. I'm amazed at you reaching out to me. It's like you discover all of these new people. I think it's amazing that we can talk like this, across continents. And I feel really delighted to have been invited on this show. I feel really delighted to have the chance again to talk about some of my work because it makes it feel, real. And it can feel very unreal when it's just on a streaming service and it's there, and you say to people, "Oh yeah, you can watch it or not watch it." So I'm really delighted to be able to be here and talk with you and whoever's listening as well.
Absolutely. Thank you again. For those that are tuning in, we've got actor, producer, writer, Jeremy Neumark Jones, Gateway to the West. We don't have a release date yet. No.
Summer. Should be summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Budget. They only had 13 million on that. Wow. That's small.
Small, but you can get a lot done for that in Hungary. A lot. Yeah. So it should be, I'm thinking it's going to be very visually impressive. We built a whole Mongolian camp, a castle on the hill. We had arrows, we had archers, we had horsemen, the works. So it's going to be something special, I think.
Awesome. I know we're going to get cut off in a little bit. The Zoom, they cut you off right at that second.
Brutal, man.
Right at that second. Should I give you a call back after we get off real quick?
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah.
Right, I'll call you back. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in to Live on Air with Stephen Cuoco with Mr. Jeremy Neumark Jones. Power 98.5 Satellite Radio. Have a great day.